that I don't think people understand. Because I had to intentionally do this, it took a lot. It took a lot. But in this, God is shaping me, He's molding me, He's healing me, He's delivering me so I can really be who He made me to be. And as much as it has been unpleasant and I don't like it, I appreciate the refining. Hi there. So, I'm going to be very, very honest. I am not exactly sure what this episode is going to be like or what this part of the I Ruined My Life Obeying God testimony series thing is going to be like, because it's honestly a very touchy topic for me. It's something that I don't really want to talk about because, like I mentioned before, with everything that I'm speaking of, I'm in the middle of this thing. Like, I am in the messy middle. And so, number one, I want to be very careful about how I say things, especially as they are involving real people, my family. What I say is always going to be the truth. What I say, I will absolutely say in front of them. However, there are certain levels, I think, of vulnerability and realness and truth that should only be saved for certain circles, and then God, most of all, and not necessarily the internet. And so I still want to be careful that as I'm talking about things, because I'm in the middle of them, because there may be certain areas where I'm not all the way, past it, or, I'm still learning how to approach certain situations carefully. I just want to be careful that I'm handling things the right way. But I want to be obedient by sharing what God is asking me to share. And I just ask that He would just, fill my mouth with His words. Because, yes, I'm telling my story, but I know that there is something in here that I'm learning and that other people are probably going to benefit from hearing. And I know that the emphasis of me sharing what I'm about to share is really about the lessons that I'm learning and will continue to have to stand on as time passes. So let's get into it. So, hey, beautiful souls. I am Kai, and welcome to Reflections with Kai. This is a space where we reflect, heal, and grow into who God says we are. If you've been feeling stuck, unseen, or unsure of your identity, you are in the right place. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, thank you for coming back. If you've been following the series, so let's talk about it, right? Last we left off, I shared many things that culminated into God basically revealing to me that even though He told me the place that He had destined me to move to next, He allowed me to find the apartment. He gave me, a rundown of the plan, the vision, all these different things. Ultimately, He ended up telling me that before I could get to that place, I had to move back in with my parents. And it was devastating for me personally. I had actually made an inner vow that I would never, ever do that. Ever, ever again. And that once I was out on my own for good, I was staying out. And I say this because, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different upbringing and things like that. The things that happened to me and that are happening to me, this is my experience, right? Everybody experiences different things. Everybody deals with things differently. So what I'm enduring, what I have endured, if you can't relate, if you think it's not that bad, that's you, right? I personally do not try and measure or compare my trauma to other people's trauma. You know, I know what I've had to live through. Other people know what they've had to live through. I can sympathize. I can even empathize with certain things, but I'm not going to come in and tell anybody, oh, it's not that bad. It could be worse, blah, 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 because you really don't know what a person's makeup is or what they can tolerate, what they cannot. So I'm just put that there, leave that there. But because of how I was raised, because of the type of life that I want to live, because of, who I am and the type of person that I want to be, I just determined that my environment with my family is not one that is conducive for me personally. Um so growing up, I'm not going to go deep into my life story or anything like that. But what I can say is that what I'm starting to realize the reason why God wanted me to come back here. Now, some people, it's dangerous. It's not safe for you to return back to your place of origin to deal with the things that, have affected you um throughout your childhood, or during your upbringing. This is not something that everybody is called to do or should do. Again, I was being led by the Lord, and it was absolutely his leading. There's no benefit for me really being here like that. Like a lot of people will say, oh, well, you're moving back in with your parents, you can save up, you can. No, that's not what's going on over here, because that's not the type of family that I have. you know it's like, because they're kind of in this type of survival mode, they're more interested in how I can help them, not how they can help me, right? So it's not like I'm being benefited by any way from being here. There's a lot of things that I'm on my own, and so growing up, I'm the eldest daughter, and those of you who know, a lot of things that will come from that. I have emotionally immature and emotionally unavailable parents. And that may seem disrespectful or insulting to them and to some people, but it is the truth. By definition, that's what's happening. And so, me coming back here, it was the last thing that I wanted to do, and I cried, and I didn't understand, like, what are you bringing me back for? And I thought that, well, maybe God is bringing me back because he's about to reconcile our relationships with each other. We're about to do a lot of things together. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to be praying, and I'm going to be bringing everyone together, and we're going to be doing all these things, and we're going to be making things right, and it's just going to be beautiful, right? It's the time to heal, it's the time to reconcile. But that is not happening. It's not happening the way I thought. I'm not saying that those are not God's wills and intention for our lives. But I realized that me moving back here was more about me than it was them. Even though he's going to use me for them, it was about me really getting to my foundations, dealing with my foundations, me being back here where I would typically be very avoidant and distant. Being back up close has allowed me to identify certain generational patterns, curses that needed to be broken. It allowed me to start to connect the dots about why I've exhibited certain behavior over my life, why I've made the decisions that I've made. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, you can't blame things on your parents, and you're responsible for your own actions. Yeah, you are responsible for your own actions. But I think it would be a very foolish and ignorant thing to say that your actions are not being influenced by something, right? Our actions are influenced by our beliefs, which are shaped by our experiences. And so there are certain beliefs that I've had, beliefs about myself, about life, about how things are supposed to work, that literally have influenced every single decision that I've made. And those beliefs were shaped and they were embedded into me throughout my childhood by my environment, by my upbringing. And so the Lord has been exposing things to uproot them from my heart and from my mind. I had to begin to put the pieces together, because how can you really deal with an issue? You don't know what the root of the issue is. You're trying to, deal with the symptoms, but the symptoms keep coming back up because the root is still there, right? There's still life in the root. And so I needed to come back to deal with the root. And I have been on this journey of like real healing and deliverance, because I did not understand just how much my relationship with my family has shaped and molded my life. even down to my relationship with God, my ability to see God as my Father has been shaped by my real life relationship with my Father. You know, my ability to really trust God, it has been shaped by my inability to trust any of the adults in my life as I've grown up. And I've learned how not to trust people. And it's like I continue to have experiences that reinforce the belief that I had that I can't trust anybody. I have to depend on myself. I have to take care of myself. I don't have anybody to fall back on. I'm everybody else's fallback guy, but I don't have a fallback guy, so I got to do this for myself. Like, I learned how to be very hyper independent because of this, which is not healthy. And it is an obstacle for intimacy, and not just my relationship with God, but my relationship with anybody, right? Because I experienced rejection. The Lord told me it started in the womb. But this rejection was something that had continued to follow me throughout my life. And I just continued to encounter experiences where I was being rejected over and over and over and over again. And I didn't understand that that was actually spiritual. I didn't understand that the reason why I kept choosing the men that I was entering into relationships with was spiritual. It was because of the things in me that were unhealed, the things in me that I literally needed deliverance from. They were influencing what I was attracted to, the type of dynamics that I entered into. And the Lord basically revealed to me that in order for me to really be able to receive everything that He has for me, there are certain beliefs I have to kill. Like, I have to heal from certain things that have happened to me and that continue to happen to me. I had to forgive and keep forgiving and keep forgiving and keep forgiving and keep forgiving. Why? So that the negative emotions and beliefs and feelings that would come from what people were doing to hurt me and to offend me would not continue to get into my heart and affect my decisions. Because I was being bound. There's no freedom in living a life that is so guarded because of all the hurt and the pain that you've experienced. You're trying so hard to keep yourself from being hurt that way again, from experiencing that pain that way again. You literally begin to just restrict your life, and you live your life on edge, on guard all the time because you're in defense mode. You're in self-protect mode. And God also revealed to me how I lacked faith in Him and His ability to heal me and His ability to protect me and His ability to give me peace and joy. I felt like I had to do it on my own. Like, I'm my own protector. I'm my own defender. Like, I am in control over these things that happen when I'm not. And what I was trying to do to self-protect, it still don't work. Right? And so I had to understand that in order for me to really truly be free, I had to surrender all of these things from God, but I had to acknowledge them first. I had to admit first what had happened to me and how it had affected me. The Lord had to give me revelation about the dynamics that were happening, not just in my immediate family, but my extended family that was impacting my immediate family. I had to understand that if I don't deal with certain things right now, I will, whether I like it or not, pass them on to my children in the future. Because some of you may relate to this. I remember having this thought at one point in the relationships that I've been in. Like, I was that person. I said that I would never want to be like my mother. I would never want to be with someone like my father. I would say this all the time. And yet somehow I didn't necessarily end up with someone like my father, but I did end up being just like my mother in my marriage. And I would catch myself doing things and be horrified, mortified, like, oh my God, I'm doing that thing that she always does that I hated so much when I was growing up. How? Why? I really was trying to be different, but somehow I still wasn't different. I ended up repeating the behavior because I never got to the root of the behavior. I never received healing from the wounds that manifest the behavior. I never received deliverance, like literal actual deliverance from demonic spirits that were able to enter in because of the wounds. And so I was repeating the behavior whether I liked it or not. And I needed to renew my mind so that I could have different beliefs, so that I could display different actions. And this is deep work. It's deep work. I didn't realize how much I really needed to address till I got back here, because I had been distant from it, but it was still influencing me. But once I got back here and I started to observe from a different lens, I started to see and understand, this is what I need to deal with. This is what I need to be praying about. This is what I need healing and deliverance from. I had no clue. And so the Lord is now giving me an opportunity to truly be free. Like truly be free. So that I can have the life I really want. Because no, not everybody is trustworthy. No, not everybody accepts me. Yes, people are going to betray me, whether I like it or not. But I don't have to respond to things the way that I always have anymore. Because God is trying to show me who He is when these things happen. And how He can guard me, how He can cover and protect me. And how He always has when I haven't been able to do it for myself. And so being back with my family has been hard. And it's been humiliating, because just because people are family and they may think they mean well, they may want to believe that, you know, they're loving and kind and good towards you, but that's not necessarily the case, right? There was something that happened, and I took it to the Lord in prayer, and I was so shocked. Like, I couldn't believe what was being spread around, right? And I was just thinking, like, y'all don't even know me. Like, you do not know me at all. For you to even believe this, for you to say this and spread it around, you couldn't possibly know me, right? And I was just so upset and so offended and so hurt, because I'm thinking, you're this, like, these specific people in my family that should know me the best and don't know me at all. And I remember taking it to the Lord, and literally, I kid you not, you know, this one I had to journal pray. When I really, really want to hear the voice of God clearly, because I have a lot going on in my mind, and I need to document, like, I need some answers that I can document, I journal. And I remember this question popping into my head, like, what are they doing outside of being your family that causes you to believe that they should know you? And I was like, what are they, like, huh? And I was like, you know what? They're not doing anything to actually get to know me, right? I think as family, we're familiar with people because we're around, you know, people who are in my family, but we don't actually do anything to get to know them as people. I'm like, you know what? We don't talk. We don't hang out together. We don't do things together. They don't ask me questions about my life and, you know, what I have going on. They don't ask me about my opinions of things, or, you know, try and figure out how my mind works and my interests, my likes, dislikes, my beliefs. None of that. None of that. They don't do any of that. And it was kind of like a light bulb went off. Like, why do I? They literally don't do anything to try to get to know me, why do I keep making this assumption that they should know me just because they're family? It's because of my definition of what I thought family should be, what I wanted family to be. I was projecting my expectations onto them, but that wasn't the reality. That wasn't the truth. And so I had to understand what reality actually was in the situation so that I could stop hurting myself and being so offended that they didn't know me. When, why would they? How could they know me? There was no effort to know me. So why do I keep expecting them to know me when they know they actually really don't, right? And I continue to go into prayer about this, like, oh my goodness, you are right. They aren't doing anything outside of being family for me to believe that they actually know me. And so why do I get upset when they don't know me? They just don't. That's the truth, right? But there is like an underlying hurt and a pain there because you want the people that you are closest to be close to you. But y'all aren't really close. Y'all are just familiar. You're not intimate. You don't know each other. And that was something that I really had to come to terms with. But as I began to do it, it took the pressure off of them and myself. And I no longer got so offended or so upset when I just knew what the reality was. This is who I'm dealing with. Let me actually address who I'm actually dealing with instead of who I want them to be. And there's freedom in that. And so the Lord deals with me about these different things, about putting these unrealistic expectations on people who don't have the capacity. Literally, there are conversations that I'll have with different ones. And it's like I can tell in their mind, they literally don't have the capacity to have this conversation. It's not computing. And this is not an insult to their intelligence or anything. It's just you have to understand where people are at and meet them there. And that was something that had frustrated me my whole life. But now the Lord is starting to bring healing and bring deliverance so that I can really be free and so that I won't block the things that He's trying to bring to me because I'm still being influenced by my past. And of course, He also has me here interceding for my family, which gets hard because, baby, sometimes I'm like, God, just go ahead and get me up out of here because these people don't want, they're stubborn. They're stiff-necked people. You know what I'm saying? You know how this goes. But God is teaching me how to really love the way He loves. And He'll remind me all the time, all them times in prayer, I've been like, God, make me more like you. Teach me how to walk like you, how to... Baby, I was saying all them, oh, why? Saying all of those prayers. God, make me more like you. Teach me how to love like you. Teach me how to talk like you. Teach me how to walk like you. And it's like, well, here we are. Right? This you getting your practice in. This is what I do all the time, all day, every day. At a level you could never understand. And He's so patient with us. And He loves us. And He meets us where we're at. And He corrects us. Now, He chastises us because He loves us. But like, He really is patient. He's forgiving. He does not shame us or put us down intentionally just because He's upset. Like, He's teaching me how to be like Him by putting me in the midst of my family and all of the things that they will say and do to me. He's teaching me, giving me a taste of the things that Jesus had to endure. Being lied on, being betrayed, talked about. People literally didn't know Him at all, assumed they knew Him. You know how many times the Lord has had to take me to the scripture where Jesus is like, a prophet is not without honor, except for in his own hometown, amongst relatives. Because He went back to His hometown and was designed to perform miracles and healings and was teaching the people, and they were so offended because they were like, you're Joseph's boy. We know who you are. How you coming up in here trying to talk like this and that and act like you? the Son of God, you Joseph's boy, right? They did not know him, but they thought they did because they were familiar with him. And he couldn't even perform, the miracles and the healings that he wanted to because of their lack of belief. They were so offended in him. They rejected. Because how are you and I from the same place? And you think you better than me? You think you... And I'm like, I've literally heard these words throughout my life, even as a little child. And if Jesus went through it, then why wouldn't I go through it? Why wouldn't we go through it? He understands. He had to experience it firsthand. And so, even in spite of that, in spite of everything that we do to Jesus, to basically spit on the sacrifice that he made for us, he intercedes for us, even now. And so the Lord has called me to intercede for my family, because he has a destiny and a purpose for each and every one of them. And because I see things that they don't see, then I'm in the best position to pray about it. I used to think that was so unfair. Like, why do I have to be the one? Why are you asking me to do it? Find somebody else to do it. Why do I have to be the bigger person? I would say this all the time. Why do I have to be the big person? Why are you making me apologize? I ain't even doing it. Like, what is this, God? It's not fair. It's not fair. But this is the way God deals with me. I remember one time in particular saying that in prayer. Why do I have to be the bigger person all the time? And I remember hearing this voice like, don't you want to be the bigger person? And it was just kind of one of those things where, like, do you want to be the trash person with the bad attitude that's, grimy and getting down low with them? Is that really what you want? Didn't you say you want to be a reflection of me? Like, you want to be like me, right? Am I not a big God? Am I not always being the bigger person with all of you all? Yeah. And so it's about humility. But I'll say this. As I pray, as I intercede, one of the things I have to pray for is, Lord, you show me how to see them the way you see them. Because I see them from my hurt and my pain. I see what they're saying to me and what they're doing to me right now. I see the things that they need to be delivered from, that I've had to already address, and I know where it comes from, so I know they're dealing with it too, right? But I want to see them the way you see them, because I need my heart to change, whether they ever change or not. Because the truth is, some people do not change. It's a decision. It's a personal decision, right? But true freedom is whether they change or not. I am not holding on to this. I'm not going to allow them to rule my life, because I'm reacting out of the pain and the hurt that they've caused. They have too much power. And I can't have that. And so through interceding, God is working on my heart. Is it easy? No. Do I want to do? No. I'm still in it. And hopefully, and I might just be, God forbid, delaying my time here, like extending the time here, because I'm still like, God, give me, like, when we getting out of here, when can I go? Right? And so I'm gonna be real. But at the same time, I'm gonna tell you one of the biggest lessons so far. Number one, I've learned how to find gratitude, even when my circumstances, like the situations around me, are like totally trash, right? I'm grateful. I did not know all of the things that God would call me to build. But if I was not here, I probably wouldn't have felt the urgency or done the things that I've done so far. And I'm grateful. Now, mind you, I even said at one point, once he told me that I was moving back in with my parents, and I knew I'd already put in my 2 weeks notice, not 2 weeks, 2 months notice to the apartment complex, like I wouldn't be renewing my lease and I was going to be, moving on. I I put my parents' address down because I didn't know for sure when I was going to move into the other place, but I was like, Lord, I would rather live out of my car than go move back in with them. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, so I can have some sort of something to myself, like peace. Like, I was literally trying to plan out, like, where could I go to get my showers? Where could I go to get food? Like, I was very serious. And he sent two people who had no clue this was going on to totally tear that down. Like, totally tear that down. And I knew he was talking to me. I knew he had told me right the first time that I was supposed to move in with them, right? So I was just like, there's too much that has transpired. I feel like I've tried to talk to various ones in different ways to reach some sort of conclusion. Not conclusion, but, you know, I don't know, like, make peace, have a different type of relationship, really express this is how I felt, this is how I've been impacted, but this is what I would desire moving forward, right? And it's difficult when you have people who are unrepentant in that, you know, I'm gonna say this because a lot of people would say to me, well, I won't say a lot of people because I've learned like some of this stuff I don't even just talk about to people because they just don't. I just don't. I don't talk. I don't have time. But I hear people say this a lot, not just for me, but especially when it comes down to parents and children. Oh, they did the best they could. Hear that a lot. They did the best they could. And the thing is, there is a time where you really are ignorant to things you don't know, right? And so you make decisions out of what you know. And that is understandable. But then there comes a time where if someone is coming to you and they're telling you, hey, I felt like this when you did this. I was impacted in this way. This happened because of this action that you made or this decision that you made. And moving forward, if we're going to be in a relationship together, things have to be different. This is how they can be different, right? If things are being brought to your attention, but you refuse to accept it, you don't want to act on it, you just dismiss the person and their problem, and you just want them to get over it and stop making you uncomfortable, that's not doing the best that you can. So I don't accept that phrasing. And what I understand is that when you have situations like that in your life, the Bible talks about Matthew 18, but how to go and reconcile, right? So how to resolve conflict. If you feel like someone has offended you or sinned against you, the Bible tells you what to do. And it gets to a certain point that if they do not receive, they do not want to make peace and resolve the issue, you basically wash your hands with them, right? And so you have to forgive, but the way your relationship looks will depend. You cannot reconcile with someone who is unrepentant. They will continue to do the same thing over and over again to you that hurt you, right? And so I've had to learn how to navigate those types of relationships, how to meet people where they are, how to give grace, how to forgive, how to show mercy, how to love, but to do it with wisdom and learn how to set boundaries. And that's been a hard trial, a hard thing. So because of that, it's like, I'm grateful, but it's still hard, right? And so you can say, oh, well, at least it's not this, or, oh, but it could be that. Yeah, but it's also a lot of other things too that have been very hard. But above all of those things, one of the biggest lessons that God is teaching me is how to stand firm in my identity. Because when the people that are closest to you, or supposed to be, that watch you grow up, that are familiar with you, don't know you and speak against you, what are you going to do? When I know God is telling me certain things and he's given me certain instructions. But my family comes and tries to convince me of the opposite. What do? I've had to learn how to stand firm on the word of God above all. That has been one of the greatest lessons that I've learned since being here. Because I struggled with rejection so much. It's sad, and a lot of people can relate to this, especially as a child. Even though like your parent could be straight up abusive, but you still love them and you still look for them to love you back and to be your parent. And so they could be so nasty, so mean towards you. But the moment they show you affection, or you have a moment, you want to grab it because that's your parent, right? I'm not saying my parents just straight up, it's some different things that's been going on. But I'm saying that desire is there, right? So because I struggled with rejection, I was always fighting for acceptance, always trying to prove myself. And I had to learn that actually caused me to become a people pleaser. And that was not actually that's not from God. People pleasing is not God-like, it's not godly. In fact, Paul says something, I wish I had the scripture pulled up, but Paul says, like, am I pleasing God or am I pleasing man? Right? Because if I'm pleasing man, I wouldn't be a servant of God. So you have to choose. It's God above everybody. Don't matter if it's your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife. It does not matter. Jesus himself said that if you do not hate your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, and hate there doesn't mean like literal hate, but he's basically saying you don't hate them, you're not worthy of me. He's saying in that scripture, when you look at the interpretation of that word hate, that you have to love me more. If you don't love them less than me, you're not worthy of me. And I have to walk worthy of the call that God has called me to. And I didn't understand how much I still wanted the approval and the acceptance of my family. And I would allow them to dictate certain things that I do. And the Lord has broken that off of me. Because now I've been able to really stand on the word of God. Whether everybody on this earth is believing that I'm lying, I'm going to stand firm in the word of God. Because guess what? As I've been doing that, God has been defending me. God has been affirming me in front of them in different ways. Using complete strangers. I don't know them. They don't know me. But my family knows them. My family respects them. And so now they're saying something about me in front of my family. And I have to know that even if things are the way they are right now, as long as I hold on to the hand of God, he's going to get me through it. And that my only responsibility is to be an example of his love and his light. I don't need to worry about defending myself. I don't need to worry about trying to get them to change and be different. I don't need to do any of that. I just need to be who God made me to be. And the more I do that, the more positive results I make. Because at the end of the day, whether things change radically while I'm here or not, it could be that I'm planting seeds. It could be that I'm watering seeds that have already been planted while I'm here. Ultimately, it's God that's going to be the one to bring the increase and to bring the true change and transformation that's needed. But I still have to do my part. So if God is calling me to pray and intercede, I have to pray and intercede. If God is calling me to forgive, I have to forgive. If God is calling me to go and apologize, I need to apologize. If he's telling me to humble myself and do that thing that I know good and well I shouldn't have to do, that's not my responsibility. But God is telling me to do it, I got to do it. Because there is real freedom on the other side of this. Maybe not even just for me, but for them too. But as far as me and my life and the path that I'm on and the things that God has spoken to me that I want to see, I need to pass this test. And it's been hard. But I've made progress. And so, above all, it's standing firm on my identity. If God says this is who I am, but family says it's not, who am I going to believe? God, duh. But I haven't always been like this. And I needed to come back. It's like he plopped me right in the center of a war zone. And I had to be able to build up the endurance to take the things that I was hearing out my own ears being said about me, the things that were being done, and to say, I'm still going to trust in God. I'm still going to be who he called me to be. I will not allow anybody to get in the way of my relationship with him. Whether they think I'm crazy or not, a fool or not, it does not matter. Because there gets to a point where they're not really talking against me. They're talking against God. Everything that I'm doing is because he's instructed me. And so I just pray. And I'm also mindful of how I speak about other people in their life situations, because I don't really know unless the Lord reveals it to me. And I don't want to be caught speaking on somebody, speaking on something that's God. I think that's a scary place to be in. And so here I am, still living with my family at my big age. It has been hard. It's been humiliating, humbling. It has been something that I don't think people understand, because I had to intentionally do this. It took a lot. It took a lot. But in this, God is shaping me. He's molding me. He's healing me. He's delivering me so I can really be who he made me to be. And as much as it has been unpleasant and I don't like it, I appreciate the refining that God is doing on my life, in me, through me. Because I see how he's setting me up for the things that are to come. But I don't know, like, if you made it to the end of this video and you can relate to what I'm talking about, pray for me as I pray for you. Because I'm telling you, it's some things going on. Send prayers. But honestly, that's all I have to share as far as this. This has probably been the hardest part of this entire journey. Because literally by doing this, it gave the appearance to everyone that I was moving backwards, that my life was totally falling apart. It was shameful. It was disgraceful. So many people had so many things to say about it. And all I knew is that God intentionally told me to do this on purpose. That is such a hard place to be in, when you know the word that God has spoken and you act on it. And it's like everything falls apart. And people talk about it. So that's all. Look, I want you to just have a great rest of your day, whatever time of day that it is. Stay tuned for the next episode, because I'm going to talk even more about this whole identity piece and what the Lord has really been doing in my life since I got back here. Like, I had no clue who I was at all. And I'm just thankful that God would take the time out to let me know and to get me back on the right track. And so there have been some like really supernatural, like just God moments that have happened in my life since I moved back with my parents. And I'm like, wait a minute, we are onto something. And so I want you to really stay tuned for that episode. And yeah, I think it's gonna be good. And just remember that God loves you. I love you too, but not as much as him. And always remember that God's image looks good on you. I'll see you in the next one.